already saw myself becoming a pro driver. Like, it's clear as day in my mind. It's already happened. Don't quit. He was a very big part of me getting into NASCAR. So huge respect for him.
Now you're starting to speak a different language. You're starting to speak Japanese connection.
Hi.
JDM connection.
We literally created the Hellcats and Demons before they came out. I got the C8 Z06, a C8 E-Ray, C6 Z06.
You have an E-Ray too?
This is where people get confused because they compare exotic car to supercar and it's not the same. Exotic car is a supercar with exotic features to it. He's more recently been doing that because I saw that for a few things coming up like FL2K and all that.
Yeah.
So,
our only drama is like Porsche sucks or
Ferrari's
annoying.
It's interesting, you know. I think what's his name on your thing? Billy. Was he on your?
Yeah, Billy Johnson.
Yeah.
Billy J, baby.
Ripped on the R34.
Man,
dude,
so
to have you and Billy J on at the same time, man,
so
Ford versus
NSX R34.
That would have been awesome.
That clip caused an issue between me and him. I wasn't upset at him. But he got upset at me because I took that clip and I went to because I have a bunch of 34 GTR pages, like, you know, I kind of just post stuff. And I took the clip and because I know Billy already, and Billy actually helped me get in. Like, he was a very big part of me getting into NASCAR. So huge respect for him. But I took the clip, you know, and once again, I was like trying to be careful because I'm like, I'm not going to like disrespect. I'm not going to be like he's stupid or whatever.
Right.
I'm just going to be like, you know what, let me take the clip and then let me find another clip that contradicts what he's saying. So I found this clip. It was a perfect clip because he mentioned how the 34 GTR, like when it gets up to speed, it's like a brick, you know, and it hits arrow. I found a perfect clip at Fuji Speedway and they're a long straightaway where this 34 just goes right by an NSX, you know, in a race, you know, and I just kind of put it, and it was kind of funny or whatever, but it went viral. And like, I was like, oh, fuck. So then like, he got a little upset because a lot of people were coming at him like super hard and all that stuff. And I'm like, dude, I didn't mean to like, I wasn't trying to make you look bad. It was just, you blatantly said what you said. I didn't make it up. And I just was like, here you go.
That's the beauty of the game, though.
You still hold this opinion. I know. It's like, and that's kind of the challenge. Certain guests come on and then like a clip does this or someone challenges this. It's like, we've been in this long enough now that like, I don't even know what people are saying about me.
Yeah, we don't care anymore.
Couldn't care less.
So
I haven't looked at what people are saying about me in months. So who knows? People might like me. They might think I'm like just the biggest dingus out there. I got no clue, and I don't care. I'm in here
at the end of the day,
talking about cars.
Everyone has their own opinion as long as you can back it up with facts, right? And when I say facts don't necessarily mean that it has to be a fact to everybody. You have your own facts, right? You've gotten your own information based off your experiences. Here's my experience. This is what I've seen. This is what I know, and this is why I'm saying what I'm saying. Yeah. As long as you can back it up, then at the end of the day, it's legit.
Power to
right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's why we're always like, we've driven these cars and I hate it. Compared to like, I know nothing about this.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's good.
Yeah.
Right, exactly.
Yeah. And if someone can if someone wants to go against it, if they want to challenge it, it's okay. You know, it's all good.
Yeah, it shouldn't hurt anyone's feelings.
I remember that moment too. Billy was so ready for that question.
He was.
I remember we asked to him, and he literally like paused, camera, boom, and I was like, "You were practicing that. You and me were talking that before this episode."
Man, and
he was waiting for that.
He was going like just like you said. You're going to go after a Colt, and man, I mean, I don't know if you went through and saw all the
100%,
dude.
100%.
I think that's why he was kind of excited about it.
Yeah,
because the R34 Colt is strong.
Yes, we like the only thing we do like to do is we go in and we like to meddle a little bit. With the comments. We'll poke here, poke there, like to meddle a little bit.
Pin this comment.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, Shark Soup. Shout out Shark Soup. You're the man. Thanks for all the engagement. We know you love Porsche, but you also love Supercar Connection.
Because literally at the end of the day,
we appreciate you, Shark Soup.
Literally.
Yeah, you need the comments, right? The comments, it's all engagement, right? So that for me, I like whenever I poke the bear a little bit, I do it because I know some people are not gonna agree with what I'm saying, and it's all good, you know. But the comments are good, you know, and I can go back and forth with people, you know, as long as people aren't getting crazy with me. It's like, you know, hey, you got your opinion, I got mine, you know.
You'd be surprised though the type of people that they're out there. They're just waiting for it. Like they live off just the fact they're like just waiting for the moment to be like, let me say something extremely negative.
This is my moment.
I've got an anonymous page. I'm getting after it right here.
Go to their thing. It's like one follower. Like, hold on. It says new Instagram.
Hold on, you got to be kidding,
no profile pic, private.
I know, like Jesse's trashing the Lambo behind my back.
I'm putting my
That's what
face
he's
on the line here. I'm putting my voice on the line.
When I put my face on it and voice on it, everything I say, I mean it. It's all good, and people can say what they say. It's all
things
good.
can change. So like, get over it.
Update your resume, right? Like things can always change. Like right now, my opinion for everything is where it's at. But the moment, I could go drive a particular car that I said that, hey, this is not that great, and all of a sudden my opinion changed. Update the resume. Everything's different now.
Like we hated on the Turbo S for a long time, and then we drove it, and we still hate on it. But now it's more valid,
Yeah,
it's a lot more valid.
Yeah.
It's a lot.
I haven't driven one yet. I gotta see. I've driven the GT3 RS, but not the 992 for both of them. But I've driven the 991 version for both of those. They're good, solid cars.
Yeah.
Price still isn't, I don't think, valid, but
It should be.
when you can get one of these.
I think this is better than the.
Yeah, I mean you're getting half.
Yeah. So if I had so you're looking at a GT3. Just a GT3, right? 991,
Diving
dot
into it,
one, or
Just
991.
Dot 1 would be the same price, yeah. Dot 2 would be more than this.
More than that. And I don't think you're getting more car with the 991.2 than you are with this. I mean, you can go just look at the lap times and it'll just straight up tell you right there. I mean, even, you're
not getting enough car with the 992, let alone the 99, whatever, 91.1.
The 992 GT3 is comparable to this, not better, but comparable to this. And there's a guy, actually, it was a German car magazine that just actually took one of these to the Nürburgring and finally did a test that everybody's been waiting for, because GM hasn't done it yet, or maybe they've done it, maybe they haven't released the time, I don't know, but there's no official Nürburgring time on this until this magazine just did it. They haven't released the numbers yet. They should be releasing it here in the next 30 to 60 days. And they did say that it was the fastest car they've tested at the Nürburgring this year. So then everybody went back and looked at all the cars they tested. The fastest car already they tested was at a 652 at the Nürburgring. So supposedly this is running quicker than a 652. Whether it's a 651, 650, 649, I don't know. But now the conspiracy theories are coming out, and people are thinking, okay, because it's a German guy or German magazine or whatever, they're probably not going to let it be faster than the 992 GT3 RS. So it's definitely going to be a little bit slower than that, but a little bit faster than the 652. We'll see. But I don't know. It's going to be interesting when those numbers come out.
Classic us hate on the Nürburgring and then be like, but this is valid.
This one time I'll let this valid slide.
Okay, so what's your thoughts on the Nürburgring then?
We just think it's funny that that's what people care about so much.
Yeah. The fact that that's an actual metric
That defines like that this car should be $500,000 because it's got a great Nürburgring time there.
Yeah. So
It's like, where does that translate?
Yeah,
to the track.
It translates to the track. It doesn't really necessarily translate to the street, right? Most people are driving their cars on the street. They're not driving at the track. But if you're only just worried about the street, then really you could just get into anything. You can get into one of these Beamers. You can get into anything or whatever. Every car, and 95% of the driving ability of most cars they're all the same. If I jump into my C8 Z06 or I jump in this or I jump into whatever, they're all driving the same up until a certain point. Once you get into that last 5 to 10% of the capabilities of a car, which is basically what you experience on the track, that's when you're starting to see where these vehicles shine, right? So when I remember someone was on your podcast, I can't remember what his name was or whatever, but he said something about, I think it was like an SVJ or something. He said something about SVJ, it's fast, but that's it. Like, it's not cool or something like that. And I was thinking as I was looking at that clip, I'm like, but how does this dude know? Like, he's probably, I don't know his experience, but my guess is he's probably only driven it on the street. So how are you going to sit here and say that car isn't good because you only drove it on the street and you only drove it inside of the 90% of its ability, which anybody can do, right? That's your normal street driving. That's all that stuff. Every car feels the same. So yeah, it'll go 150 miles, 160 miles per hour, 180 miles per hour on a highway. Okay, cool. Yeah. Every car can pretty much do that. There's nothing crazy about that. But once you get to that final 10% and you actually experience that, that's when you'll finally figure it out exactly why a car is what it is. So let's say going to the R34 GTRs, right? People are like, oh, well, they're slow against cars today or whatever. Yeah, of course, in a straight line, if I get on the highway and we do a highway roll, yeah, my Z06 is going to, destroy it. This, SVJ, I don't know what this is, but yeah.
S. City S.
Yeah. It's going to destroy it in a straight line. But once you take R34 GTR, even in its stock form, maybe just coilovers and some tires, you take it on track and you get it to its last 10%, right, where it really starts to shine. All of a sudden you figure out, okay, I'm now at the limit of a car. When you're at that limit, that's when you experience all the joys and the capabilities. That's where you experience why a car is worth 200,000, 300,000, 400,000, 500,000. But there are some cars today that are priced at that high 300 grand range, 400 grand range right now, MSRP, that I think even at their limit aren't doing what they should be doing. McLaren. But we'll get to that later.
Yeah, you're talking about 90% of owners that never get that 10%.
They'll never do it. They'll never. If they tried, they probably wreck.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. So most people won't, but that's why people have the opinions they have. And that's why I can't even say that most of those people's opinions are valid, because they've never been in that 10%. Your opinion can be valid for how great a car is until you're in that final 10%. Then all of a sudden you're like, okay, I have experienced it. Now I know why this car is differentiated from the other one. It's the same thing in NASCAR, right? When we're driving, right, you can go hop into our race cars, right? And you can go run, let's say, for example, a pole lap at Texas Motor Speedway would be 30, let's just make up a number, 31.0, right? You could jump in and you could probably still do like a 35, 36, and you're still cooking, right? But you're not in that final 10%. You're not in that bit where the car is actually being loose. And you'll go drive it and you'll be like, hey, I'm cooking, I'm moving, I'm going 100 and at least 60 or 170 miles per hour. And you'll think all is well. But once again, the car's not breaking loose. You're not on edge. And at any given moment, you're not going to wreck, right? So you just don't know. So that's why I tell people, when you get into that final 10%, that's where you truly know the difference is. And it could be just tenths of a second, right? It's not, you're not looking at, big gaps.
Now, people don't understand a 4-second jump. That's a fucking leaps and bounds.
Dude, 4-second jump is like,
it's huge.
Yeah, that's crazy. I would even like a half a second, right? That's what we're looking for. We're looking for tenths, right? So, when you go look at, let's say, for example, qualifying at Daytona, for I think the top 15, top 20 are all within 1/10. I mean, it's just that close. I think for the Cup Series, the whole field is within like maybe a couple tenths or so, or something crazy like that for some tracks. That's what you're looking at. But that little bit, people think that it's not that much, but it is actually a huge gap. 1/10 of a second at 180 miles per hour is not, like, even though you can't even go onto your timer and then click it that quick, 1/10 is actually like car lengths and car lengths and car lengths because of the speeds, right? 1/10 at 20 miles per hour is very, very close. So that's why it doesn't matter as much. But when you get to those high speeds, that's where you can see the big difference. Yeah. Once again, when you're operating.
Whole car lengths.
Bus lengths.
Plane lengths.
Yeah. A tenth is like a bus length, pretty much.
So to get your point, you're trying to justify the car's value based on the experience that last 10% brings on the track?
That's where the value is.
That's where you think you consider it to the marketplace?
Me personally, that's where the value is. So let's say
because you can experience that last 10%. Most people don't have the ability.
They don't have the ability
to experience.
But if we based the value of cars off of everybody's ability, then we would never. Then every car should be worth $50,000. Really, I mean, honestly, if you think about it, every car should be $50,000 because everybody's abilities, for the most part, the general public, they can drive every one of these cars the same way they drive every single one of these cars. It's just
so plug and play now too. Anybody can hop in and just destroy.
Yeah, I mean, you can go, you go buy a McLaren Senna GTR or whatever, and you hop in there, right? Anybody's mom can hop in there and drive that car. There's nothing crazy about it. There's nothing scary about it in the normal limits of a car. But not anybody's mom can hop in there and then all of a sudden go put it on the ragged edge lap after lap after lap and then have to adjust the way they're driving it depending on how tire wear is, how things are changing, track conditions, all that stuff. Not everybody can do that, right? So if we're only basing it off of everybody's ability, then every car should be $30,000, $40,000, $50,000. But we base it off the 10% that but only a few can actually achieve.
You're in a whole different echelon. For real. That's what I'm saying. Yeah. You have the ability to experience that. So for your opinion, you can state that fact. Versus the everyday person will just do based off kind of how we call it the experience. What it car brings on the street. A little bit of the sound, what you feel here, what you can feel here driving on the street. Those little minor little tweaks, the way it feels.
But even on the street, what can you feel here though? You know what I mean?
On the car, you can feel a little bit.
A little bit. I mean, you can feel the thrust. You can feel the thrust and you can feel like, hey, does this car have the ability to grip and get me going in a straight line fairly well without just roasting the tires, right? Like this does it really well. A lot of mid-engine cars does it really well. Some of the old front-engine cars, let's go back to the C7 Z06 or C6 Z06, C6 ZR1, I don't know, Hellcats, whatever, all that stuff, you're not going to feel that same G-forces because those things are just roasting tires. Front engine cars don't have the same technology as far as suspension to get those things to hook and go. So it's different, but even just normal street driving is so tough to really truly be like, yes, this is a good car, or no, it's not. I've learned over time. I'm not perfect. I'm not saying I'm the best driver in the world. I'm not. I feel like I'm decent, and I've learned a lot
You
of
gotta be
things.
at least decent.
I'm decent, but I'm definitely not the best, right? There's a lot of great drivers out there who've done what I've done 10 times more, whatever. But I've learned because I've been on track a lot. I've gotten to race professionally. And just from everything I've seen and learned, I've been able to somewhat, like, even just on normal street, I can hop in a car real quick, and within the first couple of minutes, I can tell the level of grip it can have at speed, and I can tell, what kind of, like, whether it's just launching in a straight line or even going around a corner, I can fairly tell, okay, this thing is going to be able to do this. Now, it takes a long time to get to that point. Not any normal person will be able to figure that out, because there's a lot of people out there who will hop in a car and they'll put on Toyo R888s or whatever, and they'll say that's a great tire, it's grippy, and when I hear that, I just like cringe. I'm like, dude, y'all don't know, like, that's not a good tire. Everybody out there, the Toyo R888 is not a great
Calling them out.
grippy tire. I'm telling you, if you want a good tire, you get a Michelin, right? You get a Pilot Sport 4S, you get a Cup 2R. Cup 2, I'm not a huge fan of the Cup 2.
You need the R.
The 2R is better as far as grip, as far for maybe 1 or 2 laps, maybe. I think a really solid tire is a Goodyear Supercar. I think it's like Supercar 3R, and then I think there's a Super Sport something or whatever. Those are pretty solid tires, and they last for a long time. And then some other good tires, but don't really fit these cars, are the Yokohama like AO52s. Amazing tires, great for like these Beamers and GTRs and things like that.
Yeah, that's what I had on my. Oh no, never mind. I lied.
They're
Anyway.
great. It's like one of the fastest tires out there. Also, there's a company out there, Vitor. They've come out with some pretty good tires that are like kind of a hair bit under like the AO52, but they last forever.
Watch out for those Ling Longs.
Which
The Ling
Oh, you know
Longs.
about Ling Longs?
You know about them Ling Longs?
No,
Got them Ling Longs.
Lingwell's down.
They're drifting tires.
They're literally the
Yeah,
most
yeah.
idiotic tires.
Oh.
They just like literally.
They're
just-
for drifting.
You can burn rubber and burn rubber.
Like
burn rubber,
they're made for drifting.
Interesting.
and they'll just eat and eat. And
But it's just
eat
funny
and
because
eat.
I
they're
need to
called
check them
Ling
out.
Longs, and
You
it
don't
sounds
need-
like
you don't need to know
it sounds like a
You
wish.
don't need to know.
Well, I have a
Wish that
C6Z
tire.
that I drift with, so maybe I need to
Oh,
check
really?
that out.
Maybe
Yeah,
it's
look
Ling
into
Longs.
Ling Longs.
Yeah,
Yeah, there
So
you go.
Ling Longs.
Ling Longs.
Ling Longs.
Ling
Ling
Longs.
Longs. Ling
Okay.
Longs are like a burning rubber made for drifting specifically.
Won't last long. Ling
Won't
Longs.
last because I need something that can get me at least 12 laps.
I
before
couldn't.
drift.
I got no clue. Couldn't tell you.
Yeah, no sponsorship, no plug. This is
But the Toyo crowd's coming after you.
Yeah.
Oh no, I know they will, and it's
Ready
fine
for them
though.
to
But
stitch
they
it?
don't know anybody who truly know. Okay, who's setting records on a Toyo R888?
Nobody.
That's a great
Nobody.
question. No.
Nobody's setting records. Like it's not a good tire. It's a nice looking tire, but it's not a good tire. No OEM is going with any Toyos. Period.
That's the reason a Michelin comes on everything.
Everything because it's a
for
good tire.
Lambo.
Like the.
Pirelli.
Yeah, they have the Pirellis, but the Pirellis are very comparable to the Michelin. I don't think they're better, but they're comparable.
I'm with you.
Michelin,
Not that I know.
way better tire. The R888, it's some decent grip going a straight line. Once again, people think it's great because they get on the street and they're going normal speeds and they're not getting to that 10%, that last 10%, and they're feeling a little bit of grip. They're like, oh, this feels better than my normal 400 treadwear economical tire. Well, no, duh's going to feel better, right? It better feel better with being 100 treadwear, but even 100 treadwear or whatever it is, 120, 80, I don't know what it is, but it's like around 100 treadwear. Toyo R888 is still not as good as a Pilot Sport 4S, which is a 300 treadwear tire that comes stock with this, and I think maybe the GT3s and some other stuff. Still way better tire.
Yeah. Just save some money if you're driving on the street. Go get like the Firestone Firehawk Indy 500. You're gonna be good. You're gonna pay way less money to have a decent tire on the street.
The Toyo looks good though. Like when you see it on a car, it looks good. It's pretty, but it just doesn't do what people think is. And they've done a great job marketing, a really good job marketing, and that's fine. It's cool, but it's
Marketing is everything today.
That's literally everything.
That's it.
The fact that
It's
they can
marketing.
hit that audience and they can
Yeah.
brainwash those people.
Yeah, they
that's
did.
all they need to do.
I like the amount of people that come to me like, yeah, R888. I'm like, what? Like,
It's the GOAT.
Literally.
Before we get too deep into it, you got to tell us how you went from being Division I football player at Navy to NASCAR driver.
yeah,
That's quite a journey there.
It is definitely a journey, not for the weak-hearted.
I can imagine. I mean, just Navy, probably not for the weak-hearted.
Yeah, so man, it's been a crazy wild journey. So originally I'm from Dallas, Texas. I grew up there my whole life.
DTX.
Yeah,
I saw that 214.
Yeah, 214. Hey, yeah, there you go, D-Town. hold it down. Yeah, grew up in Dallas, Texas. Both of my parents are immigrants from Nigeria. So they came from Nigeria to the U.S. back in the 80s. They had me and my two brothers and my sister. We all grew up in Texas, and naturally, football is the biggest thing in Texas, right? So growing up, I gravitated towards football. Both of my brothers gravitated towards football. My sister played all of the kind of sports. And, we went to Hebron High School. In middle school, I played football. High school, played football. Ninth grade, it wasn't good at all. I was terrible. I sucked. I will fully admit I was terrible in ninth grade. Horrible. I couldn't catch a football to save my life. But I played wide receiver, and I played corner and safety and all that stuff. And my mom gave me this prayer book one day, and she was like, hey, just pray, and just work hard, and you'll make it. You'll make the 18. And I was like, man, I don't know, but I'll try. But she said, if you don't make the 18, you probably need to quit and go do something else. I'm like, I'm definitely not quitting. I got this goal and dream to go off and play college football. I got to make this happen. So prayed, and then just outworked everybody. I knew if I didn't have the same talent as everybody else, if I just put in the work, then I'll make it, right? Like the whole quote about, if you keep showing up at the barbershop every single day, eventually someone's going to give you a haircut, right? I just kept on outworking everybody every day, and eventually I made the A team. And then from there, keep showing up at the barbershop, someone's going to give you a haircut one day. For free. I don't know in LA though.
They're booked out here.
Yeah. So, started going through high school, got better and better as time went on because I kept on outworking everybody. I was doing like 100 push-ups every single night, 100 calf raisers, 100 sit-ups. I had a football because I didn't know how to catch well. I would lay on my bed and I would throw it up with one hand and catch it with one hand, throw it up with the other hand and catch it with the other hand, because I got my grip better and it got me better, like muscle memory at catching the football. Fast forward to junior year in high school, I finally made the varsity team, playing safety, wide receiver. Senior year, I finally started on the varsity team. Started getting recruited by a few schools. One of the schools that was recruiting me was the Naval Academy. And for me, I just looked at it as a really good opportunity to get a great education, play football for a great team, and then when I graduate, be able to serve as an officer in the United States Navy. So I was like, man, this is a blessing to have this opportunity. I need to take it. And everybody told me I would be set for life too if I did that. So
set for life. They love that word.
Exactly. Set for life. Yeah.
Set for life. I got recruited by Air Force, so it was like, you'll be set for life. I was like,
so all the coaches at the Naval Academy, same thing. You'll be set for life, set for life.
It's their favorite thing.
Come out as an officer. Officer, that's a different level.
Exactly. So, and then the other thing too was, I think one of the first calls I got from one of the coaches at the Naval Academy was like, Iwuji, you want to be driving around in Dallas in an Escalade when you graduate? You need to come to the Naval Academy. I was like,
Escalade?
Yeah. This is 2004, like 2005, 2004.
It's like Turtle and Entourage.
This is like Gen 2 Escalade.
Those big bodies.
Yeah. So, same ones you saw in all those juvenile videos and all that stuff.
Get the spinners.
All that stuff. I was like, dang, Escalade. I was like, I could do that. I was like, that'd be cool. So I was like, yeah, coach, I'll come to the Naval Academy. So decided to go, got there in 2006, played football there all 4 years, also ran track as well. While I was playing there, we beat Army and Air Force all 4 years, which was great. Beat Notre Dame twice, had winning seasons all 4 years, went to bowl games all 4 years. Huge. And then we didn't win our first 3 bowl games, unfortunately. But my last one from our senior year, the Texas Bowl, we played Missouri. And they had Blaine Gabbert as a quarterback at the time, and then a really, really good receiver. I forget what his name is, but he went to the NFL. We beat them, and we actually crushed them. I think we beat them 30 something to 9 or something. I don't know. We crushed them. Yeah, so
got some nice bowl gifts.
Yeah, and we need some good bowl gifts too. This is at that time. I think we were getting camcorders and things like that. This is 2009 or whatever. Yeah. I don't know where my camcorder is, but if someone finds it, please let me know.
I got some wireless Beats.
Yeah. So, had fun doing that. Graduated in 2010. But kind of rewind a little bit going into kind of the car thing, right? So at the Naval Academy during my junior year, I bought, we get these career starter loans, right? So there's 2 banks, USAA and Navy Federal. They'll give all the students, not all the students, but every junior a loan. And the loan is a 2% loan. No matter what the percentage is out there for all stuff, they give you this 2% loan. So it's free money. And at that time, I think it was $30,000 for us. So you imagine being a kid, you're 20 years old and you get handed like 30 grand. So like I did what most dumb kids would do. I went and bought a car with it. Right. So bought a Chrysler 300 or whatever, V6, super slow.
300?
Yeah, the 300. But at that time, it was cool.
Baby, come on.
Yeah, this was like,
it looked like the Bentley back then.
Yeah, and it was like new. It was like,
looks just like a Bentley.
2-3 years old, so this very, very new. It was like the cool thing to have. And I had this like 12-inch sub in the back, like a huge 22-inch rims on it. It was crazy. But like I was still more of like kind of like a speed kind of guy. So even though I did all that stuff to it, I took it to a drag strip and was like drag racing with it, and it was super slow. I ran like a 15.9 in a quarter mile. Like it was extra slow. But that kind of started getting me really passionate about cars and racing. And once I graduated from the academy, I bought a Dodge Challenger. So I sold that, and I bought the SRTA, which was like a year old at that time. It was making like 425 horsepower within the first week. Took it to a drag strip, drag racing with it. One thing led to another. Started, modifying it some more, threw a cam in it, supercharger, all this stuff, and slowly kind of started going from there. Got stationed in San Diego. So that's what brought me out to California. Mm-hmm. And I was on a minesweeper for my first ship. My second ship was USS Comstock, which was the LSD, big old 600-foot long ship with Marines and everything on board. And was on that ship, went on deployment with them, went on deployment with my first ship. In between my deployments, I was really, really starting to get a passion for cars and racing because I was doing all this drag racing. And one day I decided, you know what, I really like going fast in a straight line, because this car at this point, my Challenger got up to like 900 real horsepower. I was doing like, not the Texas mile, but Mojave mile at that time. I did 200 miles per hour.
You had the Demon before the Demon.
Yeah,
we literally created the Hellcats and Demons before they came out. I literally think Dodge was watching us and was like, okay, this is the thing. Let's put superchargers on these cars, because we were taking these things to like whole nother levels. I think at one point I was making like 980 wheel. It was crazy. And this is before Hellcats.
Back in those days, I'm saying back in those days, that kind of power.
Yeah, this was 2013.
Yeah,
take that, Dan Rue.
Yeah. Dan, I just saw him the other weekend. So we're doing that. And then I decided, you know what, it's really fun going fast in a straight line, but I want to learn how to go fast around corners. So I was like, you know what, I need another daily. You said, yep.
You sold the Hellcat?
The pre-Hellcat. I kept it for a little bit, but I did sell it in 2015. I'll get to that part on why I sold it. But bought a C6 Z06 to be my daily, right? And the reason I bought it to be a daily over buying a Gen 2 Viper at the time was actually gas mileage. It actually did really well in gas mileage. I did 409 miles on one tank of fuel in my C6 Z06 stock. This is a 500 horsepower LS7, and it goes 400 miles in one tank. I was like, this is crazy. Yeah. So I started doing some road course track days with it. And after maybe 3 or 4 track days, going into like early 2014, I was sitting in my room one night. I'm like, man, I'm in the Navy right now. I was at that point 4 years into the Navy. I could get out at my 5-year point, or could stay in for a few more years. But I'm like, eventually I'm going to go do other things. I'm like, man, what am I going to do next? I was like, I really love cars. I really love racing. Why not turn it into something? And then that's when, for whatever reason, I just kept on having this vision, and it kept on hitting me. And this vision was seeing myself become a professional race car driver. And even though I didn't come from the racing world, I didn't know anything about racing, I just saw myself becoming a driver, and it kept on coming to me. So I pulled my whiteboard off my wall. I erased whatever was on the whiteboard. I just wrote, become professional race car driver. And that was like my new goal board. And I just put it back up. I was like, here's where it starts. So I immediately went online onto Google. I started typing it in. I was like, how to become a professional race car driver. Immediately got met with a lot of hate. A lot of people being like, you can't do it because you didn't come from a racing family, you didn't come from a rich family, you didn't come from all these different things. You didn't start racing. When we were 5 or 6 years old, all that stuff. Also too, being African American, they're like, yeah, a lot of black people don't race. That's what we do. Even, for my family, my parents coming from Nigeria, the only racing they do is foot racing there, right? So it was different. So I was like, man, I still have this vision. So because it's in my mind, like God put it in my head, that means the vision's already done in the future. Like it's already done. So all I got to do is just keep on like grinding to get there, and then eventually I'll get there. So from there, I was like, okay, what's next? What can I do? I'll just keep researching and figuring out who I can connect with. This led me actually towards, I shot a Facebook message at that time because Instagram really wasn't a big thing yet. I went on Facebook, and I actually went online to like maybe IMSA or whatever the website is. I looked up some random series. I looked up all the drivers in that series, and I went on Facebook and DM'd every single one of them. Billy Johnson was one of the few that actually responded to me. And I was like, hey, Billy, I'm trying to get into racing. What's your story? What did you do? He explained his story, and like I was super thankful for him doing that, because that helped me understand that, hey, there's not just one way to get into racing. There's a lot of things you can do. So I knew my path isn't going to be his path, but I knew that whatever path I did, forge could work. So from there, I was like, okay, I got to put together, racing costs money, right? So I got to find the money. People think you can just go find sponsorship. Like every company in the world is just sitting there ready to give you millions of dollars, and they're just not. So I was like, okay, if no one's going to sponsor me right now, I'm just going to sponsor myself. I'm going to, use my own money. Well, I was a lieutenant at the time, only making, I was living off of maybe $6,000 a month or whatever take home. That wasn't enough to go racing. So I started my own side business on the side while still being active duty in the Navy. And this side business was, I was putting on drag racing events, which I actually still put on today. And any extra money I made from that, it was money that allowed me to go racing with. And I was able to, build up these events, get a lot of people there, give away prize money to people, right? So I wasn't just putting on events and just taking money. I was able to give money back. I think the biggest prize money event we ever did was like $10,000. It was a lot. I'm not able to really do those right now anymore because like everything's changed. But I did that for one event, which was absolutely crazy. But, stuff like that allowed a lot of people to come and just gave people an outlet. I was taking people off the streets. I was putting them at the track. They were racing, having a good time. And, hopefully I was doing my part to help clean up the streets with street racing and all that stuff. And then from there, I started building up my story a little bit more. I linked up with a guy who connected me with a very, very kind of amateur racing team with late model stock cars at Irwindale Speedway. I started running those. It was like $5,000 per race. I was just paying that money and just doing it. Ran out of money very, very quick. And then from there, I was like, man, like I don't have any more money to keep going. I maxed out a credit card to do one more race. I'm like, man, I really have no more money. But then that was a point where most people will quit, right, in life. Everybody's going after big goals and dreams. They hit this crazy roadblock where they don't have any more resources anymore. They don't have any more time. They don't have any more energy. They don't have any more money. They don't have whatever. And then they quit. But for me, I'm like, no, I can't quit. I literally already have this vision. I already saw myself becoming a pro driver. Like it's clear as day in my mind. It's already happened. Don't quit. I just was like, just wake up the next day. Like even in the darkest point of the night, the sun's going to rise. And that's what I kept on having to do was just keep showing up. I connected with one person who connected me to another, who connected me to another, and connected me to my first big sponsor. And that person was able to sponsor the rest of my first year, which got me going and allowed me to save up more money from all my business dealings to be able to kind of cover my racing for the next year and so on. And then I kept on doing this whole thing where it was business, a little bit of sponsorship, all that stuff to keep me going. And slowly over time, I kind of worked my way from racing late model stock cars to the NASCAR K&N series, to the ARCA series, to the NASCAR Truck series, and now the NASCAR Xfinity series. And then at the end of 2021, we decided to start our own race team, and Emmitt Smith, Hall of Fame NFL running back, decided to be one of our partners as well. And we started our NASCAR team. So now I own a team with Emmitt Smith and two other partners, Matt Casto and Mike Antonucci. And it's been a huge blessing. Now, it hasn't been easy, right? We started this team, we ran a full season in 2022, and we haven't ran a full season since. We had something happen towards the end of the 2022 season. I can't really talk too much about it on here, but you can easily look it up. Basically, we had a sponsor that, stopped doing what they were supposed to do. And that hurt us really bad. So 2023, we didn't run a full season. 2024, we haven't run a full season. We went to a couple races this year, partnered up with another team. 2023, we went to like 4 races, I believe. Did that. But we're working to eventually try to get back to full-time racing, or at least part-time racing or whatever. So, hits happen in life, but you got to just keep rolling through those storms. At the end of the day, when you're building this crazy skyscraper in life, whatever your goal is, it's going to be a skyscraper. But anybody who knows construction, the higher you want to go, the deeper you're going to have to dig. And that's what I just keep telling myself. Just keep digging deep, keep fighting through. Like God will pave a way somehow, some way, and we'll get to our goals and dreams. And that's what's kind of led me here to being, a part-time race car driver and, a guy who now has other businesses as well, and still doing the Navy thing. I'm in the reserves now and love street cars.
Nice.
Yeah.
Occasionally sit on podcasts, talk to guys about cars.
Here and there.
We comment on some videos.
I've been waiting to spring this one on you. As I did some of my internet stalking before the episode, as one does. Mm-hmm. So you were at Hebron in 04, 05?
I was there 2001 through, my last season was 2004.
I don't know if you noticed, I also have a 214 number.
Yeah, I saw that, yeah.
Who was your defensive coordinator?
At that time, it was Coach McBride.
Coach McBride.
Joe McBride.
It's my head coach.
You went to Coppell? Yeah. Oh, shoot.
Yep.
T-Town boy.
Dang, that's
T-Town
crazy. Coach
the
McBride's
same-
crazy, isn't he?
Oh, he's the best.
But he's
yeah.
the best coach. Like as a
Yeah.
human being, like that guy.
I think he was probably a little chilled out by the time he got us.
Maybe I don't know because it was I don't know.
He was still a little crazy.
He
But
was lit. That guy. I mean, that guy.
You got him in his young years.
Yeah, and he was lit. But I'm so happy that I had him as a coach and the other coaches that we had at Hebron. Like when I went to Naval Academy, going to a military academy, I was fully prepared for what I was going to because of him and the other coaches. When we did our football offseason during the workouts and stuff, every once in a while they would put us all at parade rest. I didn't even know what parade rest meant until then. And then when I went to Naval Academy, when they say parade rest, I've already done this before. When I'm dog tired, I've already done this before. So man, they
Y'all doing
ran
50-second runs back then?
50-second run was the worst thing ever.
Some things don't change.
If y'all don't know what the 50-second run is, imagine doing a full football offseason workout. You are dog tired. It don't matter how cold it is.
Yeah.
It don't matter if it's rainy. It don't matter if it's 2 degrees outside. It doesn't matter. At the very end of the workout, you go onto the track. You go run a 300-meter dash. There is no rest. Like you getting there, your only rest is you jogging out to the track. And then you get out there. They quickly explain you got 50 seconds. The skill positions go first, and then linemen go next, or sometimes it's flip-flop. And you have 50 seconds to run 300 meters. Most track stars will laugh at that and be like, oh, 50 seconds, cool. But go do a full football offseason workout. Do squats.
When you're 17 years old.
Yeah, you're not even 17, even 14. I mean, it's freshmen,
yeah,
so
16,
we're all
15
together.
years
Yeah,
old.
so 14, 15, 16, 17 years old. You're just dog tired. You're not in that kind of shape. Yeah, you're just still a kid. And you go have to run 50 seconds. And if you don't complete it, if one person doesn't complete it, everybody pays for it. It's not just everybody. Not
300 pounders got to do it too.
that was the worst part because all these, chubby kids, were not there yet, Now the lineman had 60 seconds, I believe.
I don't remember if they had more time or if they just didn't have to go as far.
I think they gave him 60, even though they never really said it. I think they were giving them 60.
For us, even if you cross at 300, you still had to keep running until the 50 seconds was up.
Oh, really?
So we couldn't we didn't cross 300 and it's like you're done. They were like, no, keep running.
Oh, yeah, it was different.
You crossed at 42, you had to keep running until it hit 50 seconds.
Yeah, we didn't. We once we crossed, we stuck. I remember just going past.
Oh, they upped it a little bit. They're like, how can we make this just a little bit worse?
These athletes are getting better. We got to make it harder. Yeah, no, 50-second run was rough, but it prepared me. Like everything I learned in high school, especially my freshman year, sophomore year, all that stuff, like all that grit, that's what I've applied to everything in life now. Literally everything I'm doing now, I'm not where I'm at today if it wasn't for those coaches and everything that they did and what they did to prepare us, because I learned mindset at that point. I learned that at the end of the day, it don't matter what I got. It don't matter what physical abilities. It don't matter what kind of money you got. It don't matter who you know. It doesn't matter. At the end of the day, it's all mindset. If you get this right, you can accomplish anything. 50-second wasn't about you being the most physical or the best gifted, whatever athlete. It didn't matter. It was straight up just mindset. Like, am I going to give up? Am I going to literally be like, I don't care if I die, I'm going to go make this happen. Like, that's what they taught us right there. And then I applied it to everything else in life from there.
That's all they were looking for at that time too.
Yeah.
They were just trying to weed out the weak.
Exactly.
That's really all they were trying to do.
Yeah, and they did.
In
They
high school
did.
football, there's a lot of weak. That's what I'm saying.
They did.
They got to test. They see exactly who's going to make it to the next level and who's going to stop right then and there.
Washington taught me a whole different level, though. I got to be honest.
I can imagine, dude. I can only imagine. Yeah, he played football at UW for a little bit too, and that's a whole different.
It was bad.
Yeah.
It was bad. AP was low key a walk in the park compared to what we had to do at Washington.
Absolutely, trust me. Dude, even like my high school,
I don't know how
AP, it was like freaking ridiculous.
Talking about I don't know how we got through it. I don't know how I did it.
Yeah.
I look back at what I did. I'm like, how did I do that?
It's crazy.
For 5 years too?
Yeah.
Kidding me?
Yeah. It's crazy.
Yeah, just put up with shit. People don't
I don't get it.
understand the mental fortitude you have to push past college football.
Yeah.
Let alone D1,
Throw
D2,
military on
D1
top of
AA.
that?
Oh, yeah.
And then on top of the military,
yeah.
bro, absolute mental fortitude to a whole nother degree.
The mentality you gotta have, the physicality you gotta have, and getting through all that stuff, then going to school, going to classes, having to learn what you learn. I mean, the classes I took at the Naval Academy, I was a general science major, right? So nothing too crazy, but even being general science, these are all the classes I had to take. I had to take Calculus 1, Calculus 2, Calculus 3, differential equations, Physics 1, Physics 2, Electrical Engineering 1, Electrical Engineering 2. I had to take thermodynamics. I had to take strength of materials. These are all classes I had to take. Oceanography, all this chemistry.
All classes
1, chemistry
you've
2.
continued to use throughout your entire life.
Yeah.
Calc 3, that's coming handy,
I
hasn't
was
it?
very fucking handy.
For those out there who kind of wondering, what
This
all that
Apex.
school stuff, like, doesn't matter. this Calc 1, Calc 2, Calc 3, everything I actually learned in the classes really doesn't fully matter. What really matters is your ability to be super resourceful, right? Your ability to be like, here's a task at hand and can I go accomplish it, whatever it is.
What's
That's
the most
what I learned.
efficient way to go accomplish
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I learned in college. I can't tell you what the this or that is or how to figure out certain equations anymore. I can't. But what I can tell you is that if I had to go do it again, I just know how to go figure out and problem solve and get it done.
Which is the number one skill set in the world.
Problem solve. You become a problem
solver, your life would be fantastic.
Oh yeah, you will be very valuable. You get paid very well. People wonder why they don't get paid well at McDonald's, flipping a burger, because you're not solving a problem, right? You're doing something that a lot of people can do. Go make yourself rare. Make yourself someone that, hey, not a lot of people can do what you do. And what you do is solving problems for people, and not just solving any problem, solving problems that people want solved. You go make yourself that, you get paid a lot of money in life.
Solve problems for rich people.
Yep.
And yes,
I'm a rich person.
Yep. Yeah. You might end up with one of these bad boys.
Yeah. the people that pay are the people if they got money.
Yeah.
Speaking of this bad boy, walk me through the journey to get to this.
Yeah, the journey to get a C8 Z06.
We started with the SRT8.
Yeah,
now we're sitting here with a C8 Z06.
See, yeah, if kid me knew what I had now as far as cars, and I'm not sitting here saying that I have a million different cars. I only have a few. I got the C8 Z06, a C8 E-Ray, C6 Z06.
You have an E-Ray too?
Yeah, the E-Ray. Yeah,
oh fuck,
yeah.
I'm so
It's in
excited.
Texas though.
I'm so excited to talk about this. Oh god,
we can talk all day about the E-Ray.
Yeah, hell yeah.
I love that car. It's great. But yeah, C8 Z06, C8 E-Ray, C6 Z06, a turbo truck in Arizona sitting in Phoenix, and then my R34 GTR, which is not an overrated car, by the way.
We'll get there.
Or overpriced. But yeah, the journey to get the C8 Z06.
What you paid.
Yeah. So had the Chrysler 300 to start in college. Sold that, got the Dodge Challenger SRT8. Did a lot of modifying to that. That was my baby. Did so much stuff, but I had to sell that in 2015 because I was going into this whole NASCAR world. I needed money, and I couldn't hold on to a car that was costing me a lot of money, knowing that that wasn't going to be my next thing in life. I was stepping up to the next league, the next step in life, and I just had to let go of that part of my life. That chapter was done. I had to close that book. I sold that car, but that allowed me to move on to get into NASCAR.
The new you. You gotta let go of the old you to get to where you want to go.
Exactly. Because you can't bring everything along. Like when you hop in on the flight, they only give you two. You can bring your whatever it is, walk-in carry-on. You can bring your carry-on. You can check in 2 bags, but that's it. You can't bring your whole house, right? No. You're going to the next destination. You can only bring what you got. So pack what you need and let's go. So that's what I had to do.
You're flying Spirit. Can't bring nothing.
You ain't got shit.
Delta's the way to go.
Bring a Gucci crossover. That's all you got.
Yeah, on the 6-hour red eye to Miami.
Oh, God. Yeah, so...
I don't know what the lesson is there. There's something. Yeah. You think hard enough, there's some sort of analogy. I don't want to think about it right now.
So got the C6 Z06. Actually got 2 because the first one I wrecked in the first month that I had it.
Nice.
Made a mistake, and that mistake cost me. That mistake cost me very dearly, and that's why I have these scars on my arm. Story for another day.
From the Z6 crash?
This is C6 Z06 crash right here. Glass chopping me up like crazy.
What color was it?
It was yellow.
Nice color on those cars.
Yeah.
Beautiful color on those cars.
Yeah, beautiful.
What color was the replacement?
Yellow.
All right. You liked it.
Bought the same thing again. Just made a bad mistake. Basically missed a gear. And when you miss a gear at high rates of speed, or any rate of speed really, you can lock up the rears and you can turn yourself into a wall.
Yep, very quickly.
Yeah, it's terrible. But anyway, survived that. Then got the next C6 Z06 and then moved on from there. But then when I sold the Challenger, I only had the C6Z for a while. So I had to, even though I was like road coursing it and doing like all these track days with it, I had to slow down because I'm like, this is my only car. And if anything happens, I'm screwed because I'm getting into this NASCAR world. I'm already going to be doing a lot of track stuff anyway. So I don't like road course the C6Z anymore. So it became my daily. Kept on driving it. I still have that same C6Z today. I drift with it now, and it has 223,000 miles on it. So yes, it's one of the highest LS7 stock bottom ends in the world.
Wait, what year did you get that car?
I got it in 2013 with 61,000 miles on it, 62 maybe.
So you've had it 11
I've had it 11 years,
11 years.
and I've put 160,000 miles on it or so, over 160,000 miles. So,
Drake.
No, thank you.
It's all good. It's like Joe Rogan. We record and we roll.
Yeah. Thank you, Benji.
yeah. So, did that. So, then from there, had the C6Z for a while. Got an Audi S5 for a little bit as a little daily or whatever for fun. Sold that pretty quick, and then got one of my dream
You had
cars.
oil line issues.
I'm blaming you.
In 2020, my second business that I started, which was my trucking company, it did really, really well in 2020. And I think anybody who had any kind of business who knew what they were doing did really well in 2020 and 2021. And I needed a way to spend money very, very quickly, or else I was going to get taxed and give it away to Uncle Sam. Well, because a lot of my business stuff was in the automotive world, I figured, hey, let me do automotive, expenses with it, stuff that I can write off, because I'm still promoting my drag racing events and all that stuff. So I need a promotional vehicle. So I bought a C7 Z06. And that for me, that was a dream, because I've been wanting that car since 2015, and it's out 2020. I'm like, yes, I could finally get one. Got it.
What color was that?
Black, all black, murdered out, Darth Vader.
Beautiful.
Yeah, crazy. Thing was nuts. One of my friends, he owned Speed Engineering, and he had a C7 Z06. That was an 8-second car, but he had sold it, but he had a lot of parts from it.
8-second car.
It was an mid 8-second
me.
car. Yeah, it was a beast.
That's
Man,
fast as
monster.
shit.
And he still had a lot of parts from it. And he when I told him, hey, I got a C7 Z06, he's like, oh man, that's awesome. I got a lot of random stuff here at the shop from my old one if you want it. I'm like, sure. And I thought he was just gonna send me some exhaust or whatever. Literally like 3 or 4 days later, and this massive crate, pallet shows up to my front door with cylinder heads, exhaust, everything. I'm like, whole cam, everything. I'm like, dude, I didn't want to go crazy with this car, but now I have to. And then one thing led to the next.
Now my leg has been pulled.
Yeah, that car went from stock to, when I just recently sold it, but when I sold it, it was making 1,008 to the wheels. Crazy car.
Those cars are bad. Even stock.
Those cars are fucking bad.
Yeah, the thing was crazy, absolutely crazy. But sold it though, because once again, like other business stuff, it wasn't gonna be a car that I needed for the rest of life. I have other things that I like. So sold that. But when I sold it, got a stock one actually. Had the stock one for a little bit and traded that in to get the C8 Z06. But in between all that stuff, in between all that, I bought an R32 GTR. Bought that in 2020 because I really liked the R34 GTRs, but I couldn't get one at the time because it was in Japan and this and that. Even though I have crazy Japan stories now with 34 GTR, at the time I didn't see myself going to Japan. But I bought a 32 GTR, built that thing up, made 675 to the wheels, sequential transmission, built RB26, big old single turbo, crazy car, and had a lot of fun with that before I sold it to a guy in Mexico. He speaks no English.
No English.
No English, but he has cash and cash talks, right?
Yeah.
So,
Money talks, bullshit walks, man.
exactly.
That's how you sold your ZR1, huh?
He knows.
He didn't ask any questions. He was like, hey, you want to buy it? I'm like, you got cash? He's like, yeah. And he had all the cash ready to
Say
go.
less. Yeah,
Say less. You got it. Here you go.
How did the E-Ray come about?
Yeah, so I have a partnership with GM due to NASCAR, on the Chevy side at least. And thankfully, because of that, that's allowed me to be able to have access to get some of these cars, not early, but just be able to get.
We said this was like the 34th.
This is VIN 34.
I'd say that's early.
Jesse, it's early.
It may not have been early because you had to delay it for
cars,
whatever reason or something like that.
Jesse,
You
I
got
had
the
a
34th
deposit.
car off the line.
Literally, I've had a deposit on this car since 2020.
Wow.
That long. And I was literally waiting. I was still like maybe 40th in line at the dealership at and one in Pennsylvania where Street Speed has. Why am I blanking on the damn name?
Yeah, I know.
You know what I'm talking about? Where Street Speed.
Yeah.
That dealership. So they were all coming out very early on. They're like, deposits, let's put it down here. You'll get it. Let's go. So as soon as I saw that, back when they dropped the C8, and I was like, the Z06 is coming. I don't give a shit when.
Yeah.
It's coming. Send the deposit. And I still took me so long to be able to get it. We got ours back in December. So trust me, 34 VIN, that's fucking early. I think
I put my name on a list in like August 2022, and then I got it in November.
Exactly.
Yeah. That's unheard of.
You can say like this.
Yeah. So no, for the normal consumer, it probably does take a long time. I was very, very fortunate. So definitely not going to brag, like super fortunate to be able to get this car. And then it's my first brand new car I've ever bought. Yeah. My first brand new car I ever bought. Yeah.
It's a good one.
Yeah. It's great. Love it. Almost 34,000 miles on it now in like less than 2 years.
That's crazy. That's got, if not the highest, that's got to be like that's for sure
It's
one
up
of the
there.
highest.
I'm like, there's one
Z06s.
higher, but that one that was higher was also a test car for a bit before, and it got into consumer hands, so it has like 80,000 plus miles. But like of normal people, like I think it's like the highest or so. So
I love the orange.
yeah, no,
Did you spec it out or?
I did. I got to spec. That's what I'm saying. My first brand new car, so I
yeah.
got to do all the cool. And I spec'd it like this because I didn't want to like overspend on it. I think I got this for like 137. So
That sticker too, huh?
yeah, at MSRP. Yeah, MSRP.
That's another bonus right fucking there. Yeah.
A lot of car for 137.
It is a ton of car for 137. The E-Ray was like a little bit cheaper than that, just a hair bit. And the E-Ray is VIN 34 as well. So both of them are VIN 34.
That's fucking amazing.
Yeah.
Now I know this is not an easy question.
Mhm.
Okay. Obviously the two cars are different.
Yep.
Which one do you like more?
I am more of a Z06 guy. After driving both of them plenty, when I got the E-Ray, immediately drove it from North Carolina to Texas, like day one. So in the first 48 hours, I had 1,200 miles on it. So I got to fully experience it. And the E-Ray is a monster. Like, give it some time for tuning and parts and everything.
That's going to be the car.
That is the car. Like,
Yeah,
I mean,
is.
R35 GTRs, great monsters. Even these new F80, whatever, G80, whatever these things are for BMW's great or whatever. E-Ray is going to walk over everything. Just give it a few years of parts and
ECU
tuning.
brakes more, and then they start showing some superchargers, turbos, and the thing. They're gonna build
they're
the
gonna be
Zora.
cheap.
Yeah, they're gonna build the Zora before
eventually.
it gets there.
Oh,
Literally,
yeah.
yeah,
Oh, yeah.
100%.
Yeah,
you see what the ZR1 did? 233.
233 miles per hour with 1,064 horsepower. I'm telling you guys, like, people don't realize, like, that car from the factory, when you get it on a dyno, it's going to make over 900 wheel. It's on a dyno.
That's one of the fastest
Nice.
production cars, top speed wise, that's ever
been. Yeah.
It is the fastest production American car
Ever.
ever produced.
That was
Yeah.
one of the.
But in the
Ever,
world,
in general.
ever, yeah. I mean, it's 233 miles per hour, and I think somebody was in the passenger seat too as well.
It wasn't even a professional driver. It was
Yeah.
one of like the not engineers, but it was one of the guys, like one of the VPs that just took it out and hit 233, 233.5.
And I'm pretty sure the weather wasn't even perfect either. Like, if you go really cold day, get the DA really good, you got like, negative 500 DA, negative 1,000 or whatever, it'll go even faster. Like, it'll make more power. It'll go like what they did with that car. Like, somebody pissed GM off, and like GM was like, okay, we got you, and they went and created that.
They saw the Ford Ferrari movie and they're like, oh, giving Ford all the attention.
Yeah.
Look what we can do.
The crazy thing with that car is, so the Zora, right? The Zora is already doing testing right now at the Nürburgring. And so everyone's saying, oh yeah, the Zora, it's going to have the E-Ray electric motors up front. It's going to have the ZR1, and that's generally going to be the package. But everyone was like, oh, if you just do the math with what the E-Ray electric motors are, and then the ZR1 package or whatever, that's like 1,224 horsepower. People are sick. Like, it's going to be more than that.
Yeah.
Why would GM stop there? When the ZR1 was originally coming out, originally it's supposed to be 850 horsepower. What GM most likely did was they examined the entire landscape. Why are we going to make an 850 horsepower car when we got this, Lamborghini that's coming out at 1,000 horsepower, 900, whatever it is? I forget what the power numbers are on these new ones. You got McLaren coming out with new things. Like,
Everything's 1,000.
Yeah, exactly. We can't
New
stop
gen
it.
cars are 1,000. That's the baseline. 1,000.
Exactly. So my thought is that the new Zora is most likely going to be 1,400 to 1,500 horsepower.
Well, they've also waited. It's been
Unreal.
Guaranteed.
they've waited 70 years to make a Zora.
Yeah, exactly. They had to top the world. They will top the world.
They will.
Like, I promise you, 1,400 to 1,500, because the electric motors up front, just upgrade the electric motors. You can do, the technology is there. So like, what's going to stop them?
The ZR1 is already going to shit on everything a million under.
Oh, yeah.
Let alone the Zora. You're going to have a hypercar type car okay, let's go to this. What do we think the ZR1 is going to be priced at?
ZR1 is going to be priced at, once again, this is my hypothesis. It's not fully correct. No one at GM has given me this information. Disclaimer. But my thought is because the ZR1, every Corvette is always supposed to be the working man's car, right? So the ZR1 most likely, I believe, is going to be priced at starting at the bottom end in the 160 grand range. And then top end is most likely going to be, if you just fully spec it out, it's probably going to be 220, 230 in that range.
Probably get to maybe almost 250. I would probably say close up there.
Yeah, because they do have all the ZTK and all this interesting stuff. Yeah,
Get really crazy. I think they have Z06 specs that are right around that 210.
You're literally looking at a
190-ish. I thought was like the highest or so,
There's
but maybe
because you have Z07 package, then you have the new interiors that are all fucking coated in like drip red.
yeah. There's
You
a
have
way you
ton
could probably
of-
get up there.
There's
Yeah,
up there.
price wise. You're looking at ZR1 versus GT3. that's the price comparison.
Because
there.
GT3s are about 300. So when those ZR1s drop, not even like let's talk about markup, everything. They're going to be trading around. No matter what the spec is going to be, I would say 250 to 300 is what they're going to trade for.
Yeah.
So you're talking about getting a 1,000 horsepower ZR1 or a 992 GT3.
GT3 or GT3 RS?
GT3.
Yeah.
For the price.
Think about that. Think about what we're talking about.
Yeah.
People think we're crazy. Like they don't understand what GM, what Corvette is literally doing right in front of everybody's eyes.
The GT3 is a great car, great handling car. 500 something horsepower, whatever it is, something like that.
How many times have we heard those exact words?
It starts like that. It starts like that.
It's those two statements.
With all due respect,
I swear we've heard those exact 6 words said like 8 times. It's a great car. It's a great handling car. But
yeah, great handling car sounds good.
Don't go crazy. Don't go crazy.
Yeah, it's a good solid car. But just why in the world? Why I'm very confused on why anyone would buy that over a ZR1. Like it just doesn't even make sense. Why would you buy it over a Z06?
You want me to give you the answer? And you're not gonna like the answer. It's the brainwashing and the bullshit that the Porsche moniker has been able to build on the average consumer.
True.
Comparative to what the Corvette, as much as people don't like it, Corvette, like you said, it's a working man sports car. They live and died on that rock back 50 years ago. So that moniker, what they've done, what they've correlated the brand to be, it's very hard for them to get out of that.
It is.
My opinion, the only reason the cars are like this, obviously to switch the engineering up, move the motor to the back, there's that.
Yeah.
But GM took a really good look at their consumer base. They said, okay, all these baby boomers are starting to get withered out. Shout out to my old man. We need to now resurface who we're going after. So
Yeah.
what kind of car do they like? The Lambo look, the Ferrari look, the McLaren look. They are like, screw this whole setup. We're dumping this shit.
Yeah.
We're going full force into the new era. That's the only reason why. But now they're starting to come to that era. Before, now everybody else wants the different moniker. Porsche has a little bit of a more...
They've kind of had it since the 50s or 60s. But I mean, at the end of the day, the Porsches started off as VW Beetles.
Yeah, literally.
They literally
boxes,
did. They took the Beetles and they stretched them a little bit. And I know they don't want to hear that, but that's what they did. Porsche, once again, great handling vehicles. Good. They're solid. I like them. I think they're cool. They sound good. The new ones. I'm not a huge fan of the 996, 997s or whatever. 930s, amazing. 964s, amazing. 991s, 992s, great cars, whatever. But like, once again, if you're going for money, I mean, pound for pound, even we can go back to the C6 Z06. Still, to this day, is the best pound for pound car ever made, hands down. I can battle anyone to the end of time on that. You can't beat it. C6 Z06. 3,100 pounds, 505 horsepower from the factory, LS7, 7 liter. The thing handles like an absolute monster. Just put the right tire on it. What? It even came with carbon ceramic brakes for the Z07 package on it. The thing was an absolute beast. It ran in the Nürburgring back in the late 2000s, or yeah, I can't remember. It was 2009 or 10 or whatever. I think it did like 720s or so, or somewhere in there, or 7 minute 20s or something, like at that time.
At that time,
it's crazy.
It's quick.
And once again, you can get 400 miles on one tank with it. What car can do that?
How many gallons does that tank have?
17. No. It's like
Really?
17, normal tank. Another thing too is there's no other car in the world where you can pop the trunk and you can put your snowboard diagonally in it and put 2 luggage cases and a backpack and tools and all that stuff. In my drift car right now, I can still close the trunk with 2 18-inch wheels and tires on it, all my tools and 2 folding chairs and my jack, a jack stand, an extra helmet.
He's tested this.
Yeah, every single time, and my trunk still closes. What car can you do? I can drive to a drift track fully prepped to take my car completely apart if I wanted to at the track. I could do that, and the trunk still closes, and it still rips on the track. 223,000 miles on it with no issues. I've never, ever, ever refreshed the bottom end on it. Still makes 580 wheels. Never touched the bottom end. The only thing I've done is change the heads every 100,000 miles. That's it.
Every 100,000 miles.
My only maintenance is oil changes. I do oil changes every 3,000 or 5,000 miles or so. That's it. The car still rips. It's my drift car. Sings like a freaking bird.
People take these things for granted solely because of the moniker.
Yeah.
That's it. If you want to talk about concrete evidence, there's no concrete evidence against it.
He may have more Corvette passion than you do.
He does. He absolutely does. Yeah.
But I love all cars, so I'm not, because I don't want people to look and be like, oh, because he's wearing this or whatever, he's just a Corvette lover and that's it. I do love all cars, and I have multiple cars. I don't only have Corvettes. Like I said, I have a R34 GTR. I've had this. I've had Challengers. I've had whatever. I respect all cars, and I love everything about each car. But if you're looking for money, pound for pound, like, there's just no question that right now the Corvettes are the leaders. They just are.
That's it. We're just getting started.
The McLarens aren't.
Don't go crazy with the McLaren slander. I'm a McLaren fan myself.
What do you have against McLaren?
I don't have anything against them, right? So once again, McLaren's great.
Why do you
cars.
not like the McLaren cars?
This is so.
What disappoints you about the cars?
I think the McLarens are beautiful. I think that the idea behind them is like having the carbon fiber monocoque, doing all that fun stuff, great, lightweight, power, all that stuff, great. But if you look down the list, once again, I'm going to the 10% thing or whatever, besides the McLaren Senna, I don't think there's a McLaren under 708 at the Nürburgring right now. Which why am I paying $380, $400, whatever, $350,000 for a car that can't even get there? Like, if you're gonna pay that much, at least with the GT3 RS, which MSRP is what, like $250, $300, whatever it is. At least you can have a car that that if you had the capability to do it, could do that. But with the McLarens, you can't do it. So like, I'm just trying to figure out why you're paying that. Let's even
do they run their cars on the ring?
I don't know.
Yeah, they ran a few of them, but not. I think there's some times for a few of them. I don't know who ran it, but I didn't look deep into it. But let's say let's look at the lightning lap thing that Road and Track does, or whoever, Car and Driver, whoever does it. The lightning lap. This is here in America, right? They run all these tracks at VIR they run all these cars at VIR, and I think the 765 LT did like a 2-minute 38.4, and then the C8 Z06 did was 2/10 slower. So I'm trying to figure out why would I be paying that much more for a car that can't even, Like, it just doesn't make sense.
Crazy. I'm not trying to start anything here, but you and Billy J literally have the opposite opinions on cars.
Like we're gonna do another episode.
He hates the R34. You love the R34. He's big on the NSX.
Mm-hmm.
He loves the McLarens. 600 LT,
Yes.
720. He loves tracking.
He lives
those
and
cars.
dies with a 600 LT.
Yeah.
They're once again, I think they're solid cars. They handle well. They do well. I'm not saying they're not bad. They're not bad. I'm just wondering, the price doesn't justify what they are.
For your spectrum, what you think the last 10%,
Right.
Yeah,
where you value
the price. Yeah, exactly. The price doesn't matter. I think the cars, all those cars, every single one of them need to be dropped at least $100,000.
So how much do you factor in how the car feels, the dynamics of like how you feel personally driving the car?
Yeah. So for me, it's kind of different for me. I don't know if my opinion really matters that much on that, because I'm way more rugged when it comes to that stuff. Like driving in a Z06 or any of the Z06s from C6, C7, all that stuff. Some people be like, oh, it's a rough ride. My back hurts because I feel all the bumps. And I don't feel that same thing, maybe because I race or whatever. So for me, it doesn't bother me. So it's hard for me to sit here and say, oh yeah, this feel is better or whatever, because I can deal with rougher stuff that most people would. I can, like, when people say, till this day, don't understand what drone means. That doesn't mean anything to me. I'm like, what's drone? Well, because we're driving in NASCAR.
Sixth gear.
Yeah, like that's it. Yeah.
What does that even mean?
Yeah, like driving in NASCAR when you're listening to for like 3 hours straight. It just, drone doesn't mean anything to me. I really don't understand what that means. So it's hard for me to sit here and say that this feel is better or this and that, because I just come from a different world, and it doesn't matter as much to me. I wasn't taught certain things, so I just feel differently. But feel does matter to me, right? I have tracked the McLaren yet? I don't know if I've tracked the McLaren yet.
Because let me tell you, from a consumer perspective, someone that had a 720, that's a whole lot of fucking car, man.
Yeah, it is. It's still a great car. It's a great car.
It's absolutely insane.
Street, and I know it still does. It's a great car on street, powerful, amazing, looks beautiful, all that stuff. On track, it still does well.
It'll walk this shit. I tell you that right now.
Oh yeah, for sure. No, it will. In a straight line,
I've done it. It'll walk that shit.
In a straight line, it will. But on track, I don't think it will.
I gotta test this.
On a drag strip, yes.
I smell a Jesse Iwuji SCC track day coming soon.
Just just even looking at people who've set different track times for different places, I don't think it will. Like I said, it's a great car. I just think the price is not. So I'm not saying that it's not a good car. It's a good car. Everything it's supposed to do, it does. It's just the price doesn't match its capability. I think the price literally needs to go down at the minimum $50,000, but really $100,000. And then I think
as soon as they're driven off the lot,
yeah.
they come down about $100,000.
Well, then also too, have you ever dealt with the quality issues with the McLarens at all?
Okay, so I had a little bit, I guess you would consider like the rare ownership experience. When I bought mine, I think it was about like 8,000 miles and I drove it to like 17,000. You're talking about a lot of driving in a short time period. I beat the shit out of mine.
Yeah.
I had very little to no issues.
Okay.
I think I had maybe one issue one time, and it was one of those things where I turned it off, turned the shit back on, boom,
It's fine. Okay.
And for me, that car had such a great ownership experience that now everybody that I talk to, the majority, 9 out of 10 people, they're like, these things, they don't last.
Yeah.
For me, my shit was bulletproof.
Yeah.
So I'm a little bit biased.
Yeah, and it makes sense. It happens. I mean, even there's.
But I drove it.
Yeah.
I drove it consistently. Like I almost daily the shit, and that's what those cars need. Those
and maybe
cars
that's
call
it.
for that.
Yeah. Maybe that's it. Maybe the owners don't do that, so maybe that's why they deal with whatever issues.
Stay stretched.
Yeah, I daily the crap out of this. I've done a lot. I've heard people have different issues with even the C8s and stuff like that.
Think about your C6.
Yeah.
And how many miles that has. Do you think partly because it's not sitting in a garage, seals are wearing, everything in between? You're on that freaking car. At the end of these days, these things are built to be driven, to be pushed. That's why they have all this shit. That's why we do this.
Yeah, true. Absolutely true. You're absolutely correct.
I go run a 50-second run right now. Boy, my hamstring would be done for. Be done for.
Bring all the cameras out there. Be like, all right, we're doing a 50-second run.
My seals are dried out. I haven't had a fluid change in a long time.
Oh, man.
All my seals are worn out off my knees, everything.
I did my
Best
workout
believe.
this morning, so I'm still in. I don't know if I could.
My engine
I think I
mounts
could
need
still
to be
do a
replaced
50-second
out.
run. I think I still could do it.
You
Yeah.
could.
I need to try it.
Your mental,
Yeah.
you die.
Yeah.
But you're doing it.
Yeah.
I'll break my leg, but I'm doing that shit. I can
Glutes
just
would
tell
be
you're so strong up here. I guarantee you'll get it done.
Yeah.
I'm confident. I'm a betting man. You'll
And
get
if
that
not
shit
the
done.
first time, definitely a second time.
You have that competitive edge to you too. Just the way you talk, the way you speak. It's very clear that you're just very.
My legs would
Which is the only way
legit
to do
give
it.
out on me. It'd be done for.
It would hurt. Like I would at the end, I'd be doing that whole wiggly kind of walk or whatever. It would hurt. It wouldn't feel good.
So when you're getting out of driving race cars, that's kind of what you're used to.
Uh-huh.
So jumping out of a race car,
Yeah.
hopping into a C8 Z06, where most people, insane experience. Does that impact your experience with a car like this?
You know what? So I do separate my racing from, street driving. When I do get on the street, I do drive normally, like normal people. People ask me that all the time. They're like, oh, how does it feel like to be going 180, 190 mile per hour and then jump into a street car? I'm like, you actually get all your adrenaline rush out on the track, right? So, I every once in a while I'll see these random news clips that will pop up of people wrecking and Los Angeles crest or I think some Porsche guys had some weird.
He just fell off a cliff and they had to pull that thing out right there. They just see on the pit. Turbo S skid the curve, pulled that thing out, but people do that shit.
Like wrecks happen all the time, and it's because people are driving crazy. And I'll look at it and I'm like, I'm about 100,000% sure that half these people who are wrecking like that don't track their vehicles in real life, right? So they're getting all their adrenaline rush out on the street, which is or a mountain hill, and it's like, dude, don't do that. Like we all,
rear engine car, which is a fucking or rear mount guy.
and we're all car guys. So we're never always going to just be driving like grandmas, right? We're going to drive a little bit. We're going to drive some spirited drives. Okay, cool. But the guys that are like trying to push their car 10/10s on the street, I'm like, the reason why racing drivers don't do that for a lot of reasons, but one of the reasons is because once you started pushing it 10/10s on the street that you don't know what the condition is, like on a track, that, hey, it's been clear. There's no more dust. There's no more this and that. Like, what your conditions are before you even do it. These guys are just sending it thinking that like everything's just going to stick. Just because it's sticking at the Nürburgring does not mean it's going to stick on the street. Like you have way less grip. Like the surface is changing, all this stuff. It's hard. That's why like
Tires aren't warm.
Tires aren't warm, all that stuff. And I mean, even the tire warm thing, in NASCAR, we don't do a lot of warming up of our tires. Like when we're going out for qualifying, you do your quick little burnout, you're on track and you got to go 10/10s right now with no tire warming. So the whole tire warming thing is like not really to me. I'm like, whatever. But
You're a NASCAR driver.
It's a little different. But then again, it's also our tire too.
For Mr. Midlife Crisis. The warp tires matter.
It is our tire too, right? So the tires we use are the type of tires where they can get activated fairly quickly versus
Toyos.
Other tires, street tires sometimes don't get activated so quick. Unless you're, Michelin tires, they get activated very quick. Even the Cup 2R, just a little bit, and I think you're good enough to go. But these people are pushing their cars 10/10s, and it's like, we don't do that as racing drivers. We get our adrenaline rush out on the track when we're racing, and we get on the street, we're chilling because we don't need it. We don't have anything else to prove we're good. Like you already watched me on TV. Like I don't need, what am I going to do? If you pull up to me trying to race me, all good. Go do your thing. Like I'm
good.
good.
Got anything right here. There's no chip on the shoulder.
Yeah,
you know what a car's capable of. You have no need to push it where it's not meant to.
And that's the thing too. I know what it's capable of, and I know what's on the other end. Like everybody pushing their car like crazy on the canyons and all that stuff haven't been in a wreck yet. Like you haven't been in a 180 mile per hour wreck to know what's on the other end. I know what's on the other end. So in my mind, when somebody's like trying to like in the canyon just go 100 through that corner, I'm like, I'm not even though I could handle it and I could do it, I'm not, because I know that on the other side, if it doesn't work, I know what it feels like, right? And like I'm not even in the right vehicle that's going to, be able to handle it. So like, I'm good. I know what's on the other end. So y'all go do it because y'all never experienced it until y'all experience it. And the first time you experience it might be your last time experiencing it.
Damn straight.
Yeah.
Well, what you got?
For me?
Yeah.
I want to dive into these questions, but I keep thinking the fact that he's prepped this damn question. I can't wait to hear what his answer is. So I know he's sitting there thinking he's ready for it. He's like, I'm waiting for it. I'm thinking on top of my head. For me, I got everything I wanted to talk about, to be honest with you. Especially my biggest thing, I didn't know you had an E-Ray. That slipped it in. That was a fucking Easter egg and a half for me.
Yeah.
That's
E-Ray.
awesome.
And it's a great car.
Me and my old man you don't understand, we work together. So we have a constant conversation about what is the Zora going to be? They're going to throw the motors, they're going to do the 6.2, are they going to do the 5.5? How are they going to set it up? Yeah. So the fact that you have one, you have both, and you're able to explain the difference between the two, I think it's awesome. Because I think, in my opinion, he has a Z06. I think he would prefer the E-Ray over the Z06, to be honest with you.
So when I got the E-Ray and as I was doing my first 1,200 miles in it, in my mind, I was like, this is the car for 99% of Corvette owners. Like, this is it. Like, this is a car that won't get you in trouble as far as, like, you can leave Cars and Coffee and stand on it, and you're going to be all right. Like my brothers right now, they're driving it in Texas and they can do that. They can stand on it. They're going to be, I'm not worried about it. If they had my Z06, I'd be worried because I'm like, you can't just do that. Even though this car can, grip and rip, it's still not for the weak hearted. Like you gotta know what you're doing or else you can get in some trouble. You can be pointed right at a wall or a tree and that's it. The E-Ray, nah, just stand on it and you go and you'll be good. Like
what worries you more, this or a C7 Z06?
As far as
putting
power down,
putting someone into it.
The C7 Z06 all day.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah,
it's a wild animal.
Just a setup. Just a setup. It's a setup.
Yeah,
it's a torque with a setup. That's the only thing.
Yeah,
that's it.
Instant torque, supercharged, rear wheel drive, front engine,
wheel spin at any speed.
At any speed.
You're talking about what, like 150 pound-feet of torque difference between the two? No?
Yeah, way more torque. Yeah,
the horsepower is this. You got what, 20 more in this thing, but the torque you're talking about 150 pounds.
That's it. When it hits instantly, and it's just right there. You don't have the same level of technology as far as suspension on the C7 Z06 as you do on this. Yeah, like that thing is scary. Now, when you put some good tires on it and go to drag strip, let's say 15-inch conversion, you throw some drag radials on it. My C7 Z06 was cutting the 360 foot like nothing. It was just like boom,
eating that motherfucker.
Yeah,
a little bit of lift and work.
It was awesome. I love that car. I will get a C7 Z06 again one day.
Yeah, great car.
That's a circle back car. That's always a good circle back.
It is. It is great daily too as well. Great daily.
Okay.
Yeah, better version of a C6 Z06. Like you have all your amenities like. You can plug in your iPhone.
CarPlay. Pop the screen down, hide something behind it.
The trap box.
Yeah.
Whatever you want to hide there. I'll let the audience.
Yeah, whatever you want to hide.
Sounds amazing. Rips a tunnel fantastically.
Oh, yeah. Well, and you get a manual too. I think it's crazy.
All right, so we got our questions. Everyone's got to get. What's the most overrated car?
What's the most overrated car out there? We talked about it a little bit, right? But we're going to go back into it. The most overrated brand, I think, honestly, like I said, I'll go back to McLaren. I think it's the most overrated because of the price does not match the capability of the cars. The cars, they're not fully there. The car, you go to 765, 720, you're looking at 350, 320, 380, 400 grand, whatever it is. It doesn't match what the car can do. Like I said, I'm going back to track times. Once again, I know everybody doesn't go to the track, everybody doesn't go to the Nürburgring, all that stuff, but that's a level playing field that, we know those numbers, right? Because like you versus, some other person, whatever, going to a track, your numbers would be all over the place. Even if you just did some autocross, all your numbers would be all over the place, right? But if we just look at something standard, right? These Nürburgring times, right? I just don't know why any of those cars aren't sitting below, a 7-minute Nürburgring time besides the Senna. The Senna, I give it all as praise because that car, even though it's $1.6 million, it's out there crushing it at the Nürburgring, even though 1.6 doesn't match his Nürburgring time because there's cars that I think have run quicker, if I'm not mistaken, for less. I believe. I don't know. I got to go back and check. But that car, though the McLaren brand for the most part are the most overrated cars. They're beautiful. They're nice. They handle great. They do great. They're not bad cars. The price doesn't match the car at all, MSRP wise. I don't ever look at like what cars cost way after. Like, for example, you know, the McLaren F1 right now, it's like worth $20 million. I'm not matching 20 million to what the car can do. I'm saying what its MSRP was originally, what, 800 grand or something like that, maybe $1 million. And that car, I think, was worth that with what it could do at that time in it, you know, when it first came out. You know, towards today's standards, not fully, but at that time it did great.
Supply and demand, throw a shit out the fucking track times, livery time, baby.
Yeah. Now, on the flip side of it is we're going to go into what I'm going to tell you what is not the most overrated car, which a lot of people, for whatever reason, want to say.
The most underrated car?
One of the most underrated. Oh, I can't even say it's the most underrated.
You said overpriced.
Yeah, I'm just going to overpriced. That's more better. There's this thing on the R34 GTR that it's overpriced, right? And I'm going to go into this because I really hate when people say that. That car, even to today, still can run stock really great lap times when you take it to the track. I've been to a track with my car with just Yokohama AO52 tire, HKS suspension on it, and that's pretty much it. An alignment, that's it. Taken to a track and outrun a lot of newer cars today. Now, obviously, people will be like, you're a professional driver, blah, blah. I really don't understand what professional driver means besides that I race in NASCAR. I've never gotten professional training. So, like, I'm just a guy who's done track days just like everybody else and got a chance to go race in NASCAR. So I'm just like most other good, you know, decent drivers who drive track days, you know. So anyways, I've jumped in that car, done some great laps, you know, run that thing pretty quick. People will say, oh, you know, it's not worth $150,000 because it's just like a 25-year-old Nissan or whatever. Well, let's look at supply and demand, right? There's only 11,000 R34 GTRs that were ever built, right? And right now, currently alive are maybe 8,000 of them because another, you know, 3,000 of them probably went through fires, earthquakes, tsunamis, you know, are sunk at the bottom of the ocean, you know, whatever, I don't know, but they're not here anymore. So all of a sudden now you've diminished the supply, but you have this massive demand due to Fast and the Furious, due to Gran Turismo video games, Forza, whatever, all you want to call it, Need for Speed, all that stuff, all that has pent up this demand. So like this whole economic scene that a lot of people don't understand. That's why, you know, these Aventadors and some other things, they came out at whatever price they are, and they're worth a lot more now. The Diablo, the Murcielago, all this stuff. Like a lot of people, for whatever reason, they like to apply that logic to these cars, but they don't want to apply it to a car that once again has one of the highest demands out there in the world. And it's mainly because the heritage of that car, everything has been able to do, and it can still do today. Like, and I've done it, I've tested it myself, I've driven these cars, and I know when you do take it to this last 10%, these cars are every bit worth of their 120, 130, 140, $150,000. They are. And no, they're not like, you know, overpriced 240s or, you know, 180 SXs or whatever. No, they're not. Like, these cars are their own thing. They're good. They're better than NSXs for sure.
Shout out Billy.
Shout out to Billy. They're solid cars. They're really good. They're not, you know, aero bricks. I know that was mentioned before. They're not. I've driven them at speed. I went to Fuji Speedway. I've had I've had 6 or so track days at Fuji Speedway on the front stretch. I forget how long it is, but it's super, super long. You're doing 150 plus in that car. And I was stock power. I never had the car tuned, didn't have upgraded turbos or anything like that. And the car moves. So super, super solid car, not overpriced. The price will still keep going up year after year. And yeah, it's not overrated. The car is exactly priced the way it should be for that car, especially for what it did back in the late 90s.
We count that underrated?
You can still add.
It's underrated. It is a very underrated car.
Underrated.
Yeah,
he got it
underrated.
I give it to him.
It's not a, you know, a lot of people will say, you know, the R34 GTR is just like a newer R32 or R33, and it's not. The R33 GTR is a newer R32 GTR. The R34 GTR is a predecessor to the R35 GTR. The R34 GTR is a manual RB26 R35 GTR. It is. A lot of people won't like that setback.
Yeah, now you're starting to speak a different language. You're starting to speak Japanese connection.
Hi.
JDM connection. Okay, last question.
Yeah.
You got a 3-car garage, no budget.
Okay.
Rip it. Only 3 cars. That's all you
3-car garage, no budget. First car I'm going with is the Koenigsegg. What's this? Jesko. So Koenigsegg Jesko. I'm going to do a Ferrari F40, and then I'm going to do a R34 GTR Z-Tune.
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 What's the Z-Tune?
Z-Tune is the most expensive R34 GTR out there. There's only like 19, I believe, of them out. Basically what Nissan did back in the day was they took a bunch of people's cars. They said, I don't know if they wrote them letters or called them or whatever, like, hey, bro, you got R34 GTR, bring it over. We're going to refresh it for you, put a new motor in there, put new body parts on it, all this fun stuff. And then they were going to rebrand it as a Z-Tune, like new car, basically.
Yeah.
I don't know if any car manufacturer OEM has ever really done that before. It'd be like Chevy being like, hey, C6 ZR1 owners.
Pagani, which does that even count? Pagani does that with the Zonda.
Okay, they do that? Okay,
Yeah.
so they...
You can take a original Zonda to Pagani, and they will redo everything.
Back to OEM spec?
It's like...
Or just make it newer.
It becomes a whole new car.
Yeah.
Okay.
Refresh.
Okay, so then that's...
All new body panels, all new everything, all new interior. They
Yeah.
rip the whole car apart, put it back together to your spec, however you want, brand new, everything. Custom parts, custom shapes,
Interesting. So, yeah.
custom roof scoop that no other car has.
Similar program for the Z-Tune, and it was like 19
Rich
of
people
them.
stuff.
Those cars, most R34 GTRs are sitting at, $100,000 to $200,000 for the most part. A few more rare ones are, 300, 400 grand, 500 grand, or whatever. The Z-Tunes, you probably can't get one for under $3 million.
Fuck.
You're looking at $3 to $6 million.
Yeah, you're talking about that cult following and then that limited.
$3 to $6 million, and that's if someone will sell it to you.
Yeah,
Like,
I'm sure they don't sell often.
No, they don't. No.
It's like a F1 coming on the market. It happens every how many years?
Yeah, they are, that's the GOAT of 34 GTRs right now.
It's not a bad 3-car garage though. For real.
Yeah.
I love it.
It'd be fun to get the JDM thing. I love 90s cars, so that's why I picked the F40 as well. I think it's just, man,
Sweet.
I just want to drive one.
Not an 06 Escalade.
no Escalade for me.
The Koenigsegg was a sleeper on me
me
too. You ripped right from the Koenigsegg.
Yeah, he came out of the gate with that one. I was for real. I love it though.
Yeah, the Koenigsegg Jesko. I've always respected the Koenigsegg's, but man, this newest one and just some of the newest stuff they've done, I was just like, dude, because if you asked me 3-4 years ago, I would have said my first car would be the Pagani Zonda R. Which I still have a tough time not saying that one. Putting in there, I wish we had 4. If I had 4, then I'd add that one too. But this new Koenigsegg, man,
Lewis Hamilton Zonda.
Stupid.
That's what I want. That purple one.
Stupid.
crazy. Yeah, Zondas are
Perfection. The Zondas are just so gorgeous. Like,
Yeah.
it's just.
It is art. It literally is
Yeah.
art.
Really art
I mean, they're all
That's it.
art.
Yeah.
The wire is beautiful. The Utopia in person looks ridiculous, but like
Yeah.
that Zonda, something about that original design.
But the Zonda R though,
Yeah.
like, man, just track focus car,
Yeah.
but still,
Yeah.
yeah,
All the R's, the wire R's great. Too.
yeah.
Give it to me. I'll take it.
I'll take
Those
it.
are for the people that won the game. I'm still playing the game.
I'm still trying to level up.
still
It's
still
a
trying to
final
level
gift
up.
at the end of the
I'm
game.
still collecting the coins. Anything else you wanted to highlight on the show? Any other stories you were hoping to tell?
You know what? I have a lot of Japan stories.
Yeah, I'm sure.
So, most people, when they buy their 34 GTR, 33, whatever, either they buy it here in the States or if they bought it in Japan, they like wait till it's like legal and then they just bring it over. For me, I bought it in Japan at Space Auto, which is in Hamamatsu, Japan. A lot of people go through Top Rank and stuff. I went through a different company, Space Auto, and I didn't want to just let it sit there. I wanted to go experience it there. So I got the opportunity to actually fly to Japan 7 times and go track the car at Suzuka Circuit, Fuji Speedway, and Scuba Circuit. And then I went to underground car meets, did all the whole JDM, everything you like ever would dream of, like the JDM life. Like I did that in 7 trips. While in Japan, I think I put 6,000 or 7,000 miles on that car in Japan, just through driving it and just experiencing the craziest stuff, going on Toge mountain roads or whatever, running there, just doing everything. And it was just an ultra cool experience until I brought the car here. So that my 34 GTR, like it really has like a very soft spot in my heart for me, because it's like that car, everything I've been doing to it. And even when I first bought it, I took it to Mines Motorsports, which I don't know if you ever played Gran Turismo 2, but that's when I first fell in love with our 34 GTR. And they had the Mines 34 GTR. So for me, when I bought the car, to be able to go to their shop and have them work on my car was like, it was just like dream come true. I felt like I was, 10 years old again. So 12, 11.
So we may have to have a round 2 one day to tell all the Japan stories.
Oh, it's crazy.
Hear about the C6 crash.
Yeah.
Oh, on the Jesse Iwuji, Billy Johnson.
Yeah.
That's happening. You think I'm fucking kidding? That is happening. I want to have a live panel.
Billy's my boy, though. I fully respect Billy.
Yeah, Billy was awesome.
Billy's awesome. Great racing driver. He's done a lot in his career. He has a lot of cool cars. Billy's
GT
awesome.
is so beautiful.
Yeah. We just had a little thing, when it came to 34 NSX, and it's all good. He loves the NSX. I like the NSX. I want to have an NSX one day. I'd like to buy one. I just think the 34 GTR is better.
Yeah. That's fair. We'll plug all your socials.
Yeah. So I'm on every single social media platform out there. I'm on LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, Threads, all that stuff. I'm not on OnlyFans at all. But you can just look up my name, Jesse Iwuji. It's Jesse. Last name is Iwuji. I don't have any weird fake names on there. It's just that. So you just look me up. There are some people who pretend to be like me on some of the social media platforms. So if you see, Jesse Iwuji, 3 or something like that, it's definitely not
for
me.
Crypto. Don't fucking.
Yeah. They're asking you for crypto or whatever.
Don't send money.
Yeah. Just don't do that. People fake me on dating apps and all that stuff. It's like real weird. But
It's weird what people do. People got too much time. I don't know. It's weird people.
Yeah.
Weird people out there.
Yeah, I got
it's a big world. A lot of people.
Catfish stories.
I can imagine.
Thanks for coming on.
Yeah.
We appreciate you sharing the knowledge. I always love the time to be able to argue about Corvettes and everything else. So for me, this has been a great
you brought a
episode.
whole new perspective.
Yes.
Another thing too is, for all the people watching, the C8 Z06 and the ZR1 coming out, these are supercars. Right? A lot of people will say they're not supercars. They are supercars. I'm going to go into that real quick.
What makes this a supercar?
Well,
to you?
The thing is, what people have to understand is what is a supercar, right? So there's different levels to this. You got sports car, you have a supercar, you have exotic cars, and then you have hypercars, right? A sports car is a sporty car. It's a car with sporty features to it, sporty performance. Miata, BMW, Porsche, whatever, sports car, right? And then you move up to supercar. Supercar is a sports car with super performance, right? It can go way faster, way quicker, and do way more sporty things and with just super style performance, right? That's a supercar. An exotic car, this is where people get confused because they compare exotic car to supercar and it's not the same. Exotic car is a supercar with exotic features to it, right? So I wouldn't say this is an exotic car because there's nothing exotic about the features about this car. You go to
but I'd say a Rolls Royce is an exotic, or a Bentley is an exotic.
You know what? No. The only reason I wouldn't say a Rolls Royce is exotic because it's not a sports car. You have to still fall in the family of sports cars, right? You have to start off at
so you can't have an exotic luxury car.
You can have an exotic luxury car, but
you're talking about something way different.
Yeah, we're moving on to something different.
Okay.
Yeah,
Speak a different language now.
Right. I feel like exotic is a Venn diagram.
So for the exotics, exotic is still a supercar with exotic features to it. So I would call an exotic. I would call this an exotic car. I don't know if I would call a Huracan an exotic car at all. I'd say it's a supercar, not an exotic car. This is, and all the other random versions of the Aventador. Then once you get to hypercar is still in the exotic realm with hyper performance, right? So normal exotic cars are still supercars with exotic features. Hypercars are exotic cars which have the exotic features, are still supercars, but now have hyper performance as well tacked onto it. So these are different things. That's why people start comparing this to this and they're like, oh no, they're not in the same realm. Yeah, they're not. That's an exotic car. It's a supercar with exotic features to it. This is a supercar because it doesn't have exotic features, but it still has super performance. It's a sports car with super performance. So CA06 supercar.
ZR1 hypercar?
No. It doesn't have exotic features.
Hypercar
performance. Hypercar performance for sure, but it's not a hypercar.
Okay. Hypercars have to have exotic.
It has to have exotic features. And unfortunately, because they keep falling in the same kind of line, like that was my only thing I didn't like was when I got the E-Ray, I hopped it in, although it had the electric front motors and it had all this torque, I still felt like I was in my same car. Right. The exterior was identical. I didn't feel like I jumped into a different car. Even though it is a different car, I didn't feel the difference, right? So the C8 ZR1 will be very similar. Interior is pretty much identical. All that stuff. I won't be feeling like I'm in a different, my scenery will be all the same, but the performance is definitely there. So like I said, hypercar performance for the ZR1, definitely hypercar performance, hypercar killer. But is it a hypercar? I still call it a supercar, but it is top tier, number one supercar out there.
Yeah. We need a full Alcantara option for the ZR1.
I think if they did
Alcantara
that,
dash, Alcantara seats,
Alcantara,
everything Alcantara,
change the whole dash, go with the Escalades are doing that whole full single, like do something, just go
one-on-one,
buck wild.
Huracan Performante, the interior of the ZR1,
boom, yeah,
all Alcantara.
Yeah. If they started doing stuff like that and just really made a massive change, then I would be like, yeah, hypercar. It's just, unfortunately, it's still kind of the same. Everything, just power plant has changed, which, once again, still hypercar performance. Just, I think it's a number one supercar.
Yep. Yeah. Don't worry, everybody. When Jesse gets his hand on the ZR1, he's going to give me a call. We're going to go out and drive it. So don't worry about it.
We're going to go rip it.
He's going to get the 34th one off the line.
Man, if I get that would be a massive blessing.
It's coming.
Well, don't count yourself out.
It's already here.
It's here. I got to see it.
We got to see it. Now, baby.
Got to see it. Got to afford it too.
We'll figure that out.
I don't get these things for free, by the way, anybody. No one gives me these cars, so I still got to pay for it.
I love it.
At MSRP.
Yeah.
Hey, it's better than most.
Yep. But this has been Jesse. We're Supercar Connection, and that's a wrap.
We're out.